picture this. You just missed 3 serves in a row. You step up to that line, the pressure's on, and what is going through your head? You start overthinking. Maybe you get tight and you encounter what we call dink syndrome. Or you say screw it, and you just hit the riskiest possible serve right down the tee and cross your fingers and hope for the best. Now, if you've ever been in a similar situation where you're under pressure, but your serves just aren't going in that day, well, don't worry, my friend, I've got you. See, we tend to tighten up when we don't have a reliable process that we can fall back on to get the ball in with good pace and spin. So in this video, you're gonna get the full masterclass. We're breaking down the mindset, the strategy, and the techniques that you need to start boosting your consistency and step up to that line with unwavering confidence. Let's get into the video. The first step to mastering the mindset in tennis is to gain an awareness over the thoughts and emotions that come up in these high pressure situations. You know, emotions like fear, doubt, anger, being hungry, and even Djokovic deals with this.
I obviously try to play the match in my mind before I go on the court, but also there has to be, next to the willpower, your mental and emotional self, and it's I think it's a constant battle within, you know, more than what happens outside.
Now, all of this noise in our head often comes from a fixation on the past or the future. We remember the double fault we just hit, and then we visualize the ball we're about to hit into the net. And this, of course, only leads to more tightness on the court. So the key then is to bring our minds to what is called the present moment. When you bring your mind into the present moment, you'll notice that your anxieties melt away and you get into what sports psychologists call the zone. And this is where you unlock your best performance. So how do we get into this state, the zone? Now, once again, this is a subject we can get into in way more detail in future videos, but something that's tremendously helped me lately is to focus on my breathing. Specifically, start your serves with one long exhale, and you can even make this an audible sigh, just like this. And you'll notice that your body is immediately way more relaxed, and this is gonna give you the full control over your serve. Whew, that was better than I expected, actually. And the second mindset tip I have for you, especially if you struggle with overthinking, is to use visualization and simple cues. And to understand why this is so important, imagine you're a general on a battlefield. You're under fire, you're in the heat of the situation, and this is where you start telling your troops how to hold the gun, how to cover, all the different positions, etc. Probably not a good idea, right? Similarly, when we're in a match, we don't have time to think about 10 different things. And pretty soon, this all gets overwhelming. So instead, I recommend that you focus on visualizing what your ideal serve looks like and recreate the feeling of that ideal service motion before you toss the ball up. Now, 2 points that I visualize a lot on my serve is gonna be the contact point, and this allows me to control the direction of my shot, as well as coordinating my leg drive with my acceleration, and this just helps me to relax my serve a lot more. But if you're working on a specific technique, like say a new backswing or getting your toss more consistent, you can also visualize this motion before you step up to the line, and you'll notice yourself start to bridge that gap between the theory and the application. A good strategy is the fastest way to increase your serving consistency. And this applies no matter what playing level you're at. See, some parts of the box are just naturally easier to hit, while others are much harder. For example, if I were to aim down the tee right now, who knows if I make or miss it? The tee serve is one of those locations that is a little riskier to go for because it's very easy to hit this serve long or miss wide by even a few inches. Contrast this to the slice serve out wide or the body serve, and you may notice this is a lot more consistent because you're aiming toward a bigger part of the box and you're generating a lot more side spin. So I can make this serve all day. Woo, feels so good. Oh yeah, that was in. That was in for the record.
I can make this all day.
Now, aiming toward the body won't get you an ace, but it'll oftentimes result in a weaker return that you can then attack with the next shot. Now we've actually made a full video series on these serving strategies that you can watch right here, but here are a few tips that are gonna help you out right away. Step number one is to acknowledge that your serving percentage doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if I had to get 100% of my serves in, I'd probably dink the ball over too. But if you look at even the highest level servers in tennis, they're oftentimes only getting 65 to 70% of their serves in, sometimes as low as 55%. So even if you're not getting every serve in, you could still play at a very high level. Now, an important note here, of course, is that players like Federer or Kyrgios aren't missing by 10 feet and they're often not hitting the ball into the net. They're usually missing by a very small margin of a few inches. And the more accurate you can be, the more aggressively you can aim for those targets. And we'll talk about how you can gain that serve accuracy in a bit. But knowing this should at least help take a little pressure off yourself. For most players, their lowest serving percentage will be that flat serve out wide, because you're hitting the ball with the least amount of spin to the highest part of the net. While you might notice that your slice serves down the tee or toward the body are your highest percentage because you're hitting with a lot of side spin toward a lower part of the net. Once you understand where your highest percentage serves are, you can be more strategic about where you aim throughout your match. So if you're ahead in your scoreboard and you can afford to lose a few points, then you can aim for those riskier locations and keep your opponent guessing. While if you're a little more behind, then you can go for your most comfortable serves that you can rely on. And again, where you aim in the box is only the first step in creating your serving strategy. So if you want that full breakdown, go watch the video here. See, in a match, mindset is king. But there are only so many mental tricks we can do to build self-confidence if we just hit a double fault and we don't know what to fix. And this is why, in my experience, competence is the #1 way to build confidence. Build a resume of serves that you've hit down the tee to the body and out wide, so that when the pressure's on and you're stepping up to that line, you've already seen yourself hit that serve 1,000 times. In other words, you win in your preparation. Now, the fastest way for you to develop those elite serving fundamentals you see used by top pros is to join our 5-day Serve Power Challenge. This is a simple 5-day video series that's going to increase your power, increase your consistency, and do it all in a pain-free way. So if you haven't checked it out already and you want to transform your serve, go check it out by clicking the first link in the description below. With that said, here are a few fundamentals that you could focus on immediately to start boosting your consistency. Tip number 1 is to utilize topspin for natural consistency. All top pro servers will have some bit of spin on every serve they hit, which again is especially important for that flat serve out wide. And this spin isn't necessarily something you have to consciously create unless you're going for a heavy kick serve, because you'll be able to naturally achieve this when you develop the proper serving fundamentals. There are a few common mistakes I see at the rec and junior level that plague players' consistency. First, you may be making contact too low, which causes the ball to go into the net. You might be making contact too close to the baseline, which typically causes the ball to sail long. And this is often combined with the hitting arm being too bent and close to your body at contact. And this often leads to a constricted body position, which gives us a greater feeling of control, but comes at the cost of that relaxed whip-like release through contact. Another common mistake is to drop your off arm too early and too far to the left. This ends up pulling your entire body off balance and often leads to your body rotating too much into the net. So here are a few things that personally helped me to really lock in that consistency on my serves. And again, I'm using visualization and trying to recall the feeling of these techniques as opposed to repeating some sort of mantra in my head. The first thing I'm doing is focusing on keeping my head and off arm as stable as possible through contact. Secondly, I'm trying to feel like my body is almost still going up, or it's at the apex as I make contact with the ball. And this is going to make sure that you're not falling over to the left and over rotating. And finally, I'm focusing on keeping my arm as relaxed as possible and making contact high and far into the court, and that will give you a natural release through contact. So here's what that looks like. Head, off arm stable, visualizing that contact point super far and high into the court, boom, and then I'm focusing on driving my legs up through the ground, and it feels so good. Now, if you want to see me go way more in depth into all of the techniques just mentioned, again, go check out our 5-day Surf Power Challenge, which you can access in the first link in the description below. Okay, technical tip number 2 is to develop as much precision into your motion as possible. Now, as we talk about in our serve accuracy video, precision is a little bit different from accuracy. Precision is your ability to repeat the same result over and over again as consistently as possible. And if you focus on this precision, you focus on the process of making your toss, your stance, your rhythm, and your contact point as repeatable and consistent as possible, then you'll notice that your accuracy and your confidence almost automatically start going up. Now, here's one of my favorite drills you can use to start developing more precision into your serve. It's called the blindfolded toss and tap drill. Exactly what it sounds like. You're gonna blindfold yourself or close your eyes. So I've got my handy headband here. Okay, from here, you're gonna simply visualize your contact point, like so, and your goal is gonna be to toss and make a clean contact with the ball. And I highly recommend that you record yourself while doing this drill, just so that you can see where you're tending to miss the ball. And this is gonna form the feedback that allows you to eventually hit clean shots. Or, like I'm doing here, you can have a partner just tell you where you're missing your shots. So I'm gonna step up to the line here. Hopefully I'm not foot faulting. Go to the contact point, and I'm simply gonna toss and bunt, just like so. And you don't have to worry about getting the ball in, just focus on trying to achieve a clean contact point. And once you feel yourself making that clean contact, you can start to add more pieces of your swing. So I started at my contact point, now I'm gonna start in this pre-throw position. Was that in?
That was in.
Let's go, all right. And you'll notice that once you take your blindfold off, you will literally feel like Superman. You will have a whole new level of consciousness over what your contact point should feel like and the exact rhythm of your serve. I've got one final drill for you to build in that perfect contact point. Step 1, you're gonna simply get into your serve contact, boom, and if you feel any tightness in your shoulder, your wrist, or especially your lower back here, it probably means you have room to improve that position. Now, once you feel comfortable, you're gonna move on to step number 2. Simply close your eyes and really lock in the feeling of this contact position and visualize every part of this position, from your racket to your arm to your body. And hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds. And once you're comfortable, step up to the line and try to keep that picture in your head as you toss the ball. So I'm gonna be here, keeping that image of the contact right in my head, and really prioritizing feeling a relaxed and comfortable contact. And just keep ramping it up. If you want the full guide to completely transforming your serve, again, go check out the Surf Power Challenge. And as always, go out and train hard. I will see you in the next video.